Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. I'm Errol Lewis. Democratic nominee for Mayor Zohran Mamdani ventured into hostile territory today, sitting for an interview with Fox News, where he made a direct appeal to Donald Trump, the president, and also apologized directly to NYPD officers. Meanwhile, Mayor Eric Adams inched closer to making an endorsement in the race. Our Bobby Kuza joins me now with the latest from the campaign trail. Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening, Errol. And they talk a lot about Zohran Mamdani on Fox News. This was the first time he was actually appearing on the channel, so we thought there might be some fireworks. And the interview delivered. There were some really notable moments, including when Mamdani was asked to apologize to the NYPD.
Zohran Mamdani had to answer once again for his views on the war in Gaza, as Martha McCallum of Fox News pressed him on questions like whether Hamas should lay down arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety.
Mamdani, as always, relentlessly pushed his affordability agenda, even in this message to President Donald Trump.
And he may be watching right now, and I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living.
In a surprise, Mamdani again directly addressed the camera when asked to apologize for his past criticism of the NYPD.
Will you do that right now?
Absolutely. I'll apologize to police officers right here. I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day.
Meanwhile, Mamdani's rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, has been in touch with Mayor Adams, who hinted at an endorsement Wednesday, a dramatic turnaround from his comments just last month.
Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar.
We are in conversations. I'm in conversation with Andrew. I think it's important that we can't succumb to the far left agenda in this city.
My plan is rebuild Rikers.
Cuomo, meanwhile, attacked Mamdani for his support of the plan to replace Rikers Island with 4 borough-based jails by 2027. Because those projects are behind schedule, Cuomo made the baseless claim that Mamdani intends to simply empty the jail.
I believe his plan is to release the 7,000 people who are in Rikers. Because there is no alternative. And this is his philosophy.
Republican Curtis Sliwa, meanwhile, is promising a new look.
I make this vow. I'll never wear that red beret again if you elect me mayor of the city of New York. We'll put that red beret in storage.
Speaking to civic leaders at an Association for a Better New York breakfast, Sliwa linked his two opponents, previewing his strategy for Thursday night's first general election debate.
My two adversaries, Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo, they're throwing out their chests. You're a macho man. I'm going to take on Donald Trump. Oh, no, I'm tougher. I'm tougher than you. Oh. The tough guy on the stage on Thursday is Curtis Sliwa.
And that stage on Thursday is the debate stage. WNBC will be hosting the first official debate of the general election season. You know, we heard Sliwa today talking about how Andrew Cuomo is Zohran Mamdani light. I mean, he clearly wants the electorate to think that these two guys are similar and he's the alternative. I think that's what we're going to hear from him tomorrow. Cuomo has been asked a lot about debate prep. He says, oh, there's nothing special he's doing. But then he sort of brings out his attack lines that Mamdani, his views are nonsensical, his experience is non-existent. And then Mamdani also today asked about the debate, talked about Andrew Cuomo and how he is the architect of the affordability crisis that he is working to solve. So we're getting a little bit of a sense for what these guys are going to talk about tomorrow.
It kind of came and went. I was listening for it, but this apology to the NYPD, was it the kind of full-throated apology where you go and sort of recite what it is that you wanted to say or meant to say differently and how much it might have hurt them and that sort of a thing?
No, it was not.
Not that kind of apology.
That kind of,
yeah.
I mean, it was one of those apologies where he didn't really explain precisely what he was apologizing for. I mean, we all sort of know the background. There was these social media posts back in 2020 in particular where he was extremely critical of the NYPD, and he's been asked whether he should apologize to officers, and he has said yes. But then there's been all these questions about exactly what form was that apology going to take. Was it in private with individual officers? Was it going to be a blanket apology? And that's sort of what he did today on
Yeah, that's always the danger, because people say, like, I didn't hear it, say it again, you know, and so I don't know if we're done with that issue. Thanks very much, Bobby. Meanwhile, Mayor Adams is looking at life beyond Gracie Mansion. Today, he revealed that he has several job offers that he's considering. That news comes nearly 3 weeks after the mayor dropped his re-election bid with less than 3 months to go in his term. Our Kelly Mena joins me now with that part of the story. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Errol. Big news today. With his political career in the rearview mirror, Mayor Adams is looking to his future. It was in a routine meeting with his staff this morning that he broke the news that he was looking at potential job offers, according to some sources in the room. He talked about one particular job offer that had the opportunity, as he said, to change his life. It's been less than 3 weeks since the mayor dropped his re-election bid, quitting publicly in front of everybody without endorsing another candidate. And also, he only has until December 31st, less than 3 months left in his term. Many people for many weeks have been speculating about what the future could hold for the mayor. He revealed that earlier today, calling these job opportunities a dream job and something, that same term he's used for the job that he currently holds.
I have 3 offers that I'm looking at, and they are my dream jobs. People have watched me. They said, we witnessed what you did, what you have done for New York. And for the last 6-7 months, I was being recruited. And these are the jobs that I'm looking at that I always wanted to do outside of being mayor.
This is my dream job. It's a moment in time that I'm able to do it. I'm blessed that working class people chose me as the mayor of the city of New York.
Obviously, it looks like you can hold more than one dream job in this lifetime when you're the mayor of New York City. No details as of yet of what those job opportunities are looking like, whether they'll be in the public or private sector. In an interview recently with Telemundo earlier today, the mayor says that he's still considering all of those opportunities, Errol.
Yeah, you hate to belabor this kind of a thing, but, depending on what it is, there are questions of conflict of interest or things that City Hall might be doing on behalf of a company that is extending a job offer privately to the mayor.
Right, of course. I mean, and there are some, I guess you could say, rules that are set in place, particularly when it comes to lobbying city government after you've left City Hall, because unlike some other people, you might have an advantage of knowing some people already there. It's unclear what this job position could look like. We've been speculating for weeks. I think some of our viewers will remember that there was some talk about maybe joining the Trump administration. From sources I'm hearing that's fizzled out, that it will most likely come from the private sector, but what that will look like, the responsibilities, whether it'll be a company here in the city or somewhere else internationally. The mayor, there's been rumors swirling around that, is all yet to fully clear itself up, but I'm sure we'll get more information in the coming weeks as the mayor is set to leave office at the end of the year.
Sounds mysterious. I wonder why he felt he needed to mention it to the staff.
And that was a question I asked one of my sources about it. He brought it up just by himself, no prompting. He said he felt good today, he was having a good day, and then offered up that bit of information and then continued on with the agenda at hand. So maybe he got some good news about where that's headed.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, fallout continues after a bombshell report exposed a group chat between young Republican activists repeatedly using racist and anti-Semitic language. That story's coming up next. Later on tonight, I'll be joined in studio by Shirley Aldebal. She's the Democratic candidate challenging City Council member Christy Marmorato for a seat up in the Bronx. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Spectrum TV, isn't that only live TV?
No, it's only all my favorite streaming apps with live TV.
Okay.
It's only all included at no extra cost. And that's the magic of math. Will this be on the test?
Sure, why not?
It's only one simple payment for all our TV. We gotta simplify and win. Winning is equally important.
If not, more so.
Yeah!
Only Spectrum TV, fixed TV.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. You're done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Today was a day of political fallout for young Republicans around the country after a bombshell report in Politico exposed that party activists in 4 states, including New York, routinely used racist and anti-gay language in close to 3,000 text messages. Several people involved have already lost their jobs, and Democrats are seizing the opportunity to slam their opponents. Our State House reporter Bernadette Hogan has that story. Good evening, Bern.
Good evening, Errol. And the racist, sexist, homophobic, and overall vile messages within this 10-person group chat has reached the highest levels of government condemnation from both Republicans and Democrats alike.
You gotta be kidding me.
Thousands of text messages have been exposed in a bombshell Politico report this week, revealing discourse between Republican leadership ages 18 to 40, littered with racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic language exchanged in what they thought was a private digital message chat.
Most juvenile junk I've ever seen. Was the first reaction was like, you've made everybody look bad, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you need to know when you're coming up that what you do reflects on the party.
Former New York State Young Republicans Chair Peter Giunta joked about gas chambers, compared black people to monkeys, and the group's ex-vice chair, Bobby Walker, mocked rape, according to Politico. Others in the chat made similar racist and sexist comments.
It's the substance of it that matters, and that's what has to be addressed. And if you're looking to point fingers on who leaked it, you're not really taking responsibility for your words.
In a statement, Giunta apologized. Quote, "I am so sorry to those offended by the insensitive and inexcusable language. While I take complete responsibility, I have no way of verifying their accuracy and am deeply concerned that the message logs in question may have been deceptively doctored." Democrats responding.
There needs to be consequences. This has to stop.
Revolting, it's disgusting, it's obnoxious. It's the kind of garbage the worst kinds of people say when they think no one is watching.
U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries tried to tarnish New York Republicans in swing districts who had nothing to do with the texts, like rival Congress members Michael Lawler and Elise Stefanik, who he's currently battling with over the government shutdown.
It was abhorrent. It's vile, and it has no place in politics or government, and they were rightly removed from their jobs.
He doesn't think Republicans will be damaged either in party recruitment or future races.
It's easy for folks to paint with broad brush and say this is indicative of everybody. It's not. And, you know, I think individuals need to be held to account for their own rhetoric, for their own conduct. And as a society, we should obviously push to, you know, expect better out of our public figures.
A Stefanik spokesman called the comments heinous, anti-Semitic, racist, and unacceptable, adding that she's never employed anyone in the chat. But Vice President J.D. Vance appeared to defend the group, describing the incident as college group chat material, and used the opportunity to slam a Democratic candidate for Virginia Attorney General who previously joked about killing a Republican colleague.
And New York One has learned that both Peter Giunta and Bobby Walker have lost their jobs, as well as several other people in that chat. Giunta also told me that he's received, since the exposure of these messages, he's received several threatening messages and actually has referred it to the NYPD, and now he has cop cars driving by his house.
So just so everybody's clear, this is not like college sophomores and stuff. We call them young Republicans. They're youngish.
Correct.
But these are fully grown professionals, right?
Correct.
And at least one was a state senator, right?
Correct, yes. One is a state senator in Vermont. But Giunta himself, he's 31 years old, and the young Republican delineation provides membership for people ages 18 to 40, which, you know, you can enroll and serve in the military at 18. You can vote, you can drink.
And these are staffers to people who have real power. It's not like they're just kind of blowing off steam and it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. Giunta had worked for Michael Riley. He's since been, who was a state assemblyman in Staten Island, a Republican. He's since been let go. Walker, it's unclear his employment. He has been fired, but it's unclear if he had started working for a state senator's campaign in upstate New York or not. But regardless, you know, the vice president is talking about this, and now Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are using this to bludgeon their Republican opponents.
Okay, thanks very much, Bernadette. We are going to take a break now, and when we come back, the mayor of Yonkers is calling for an investigation after MGM abruptly dropped its proposal for a casino bid. We will bring you an update on that and the race to win a casino license. That's coming up in 2 minutes. Stay with us. This election year is all about New York City. There are 51 council seats up for grabs, races for our next city comptroller and the next public advocate.
Plus, an unprecedented race for mayor. That puts the power in your hands to decide who will run our city.
Our team of political experts will be covering every angle of this election to keep you informed on how it could affect you, so you can feel confident with your decision at the polls.
Stay with Spectrum News New York 1 for Decision 2025, exclusively on Spectrum.
It's only a game. It's only a little rivalry. It's only a ritual. When I come home late, and a few generations. You're always there. And only Spectrum TV includes all your favorite streaming apps with live TV at no extra cost. It's only a game. It's only everything.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time. And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan. Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York 1 to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood. Because our city never stops moving.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first, stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. On the heels of the decision by MGM Empire City to get out of the race for a gaming license, the mayor of one suburban city is calling for an investigation, and Governor Hochul is weighing in as well. Our Courtney Gross has the latest. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Errol. Immediately after this decision by MGM Empire City that we learned about late yesterday, Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano called for an investigation, saying that even after there was so much community support for this particular casino proposal, something must be up if they're deciding to bow out at such a late stage. He joined Mornings on One this morning, and here's what he said.
Nothing changed. They knew about the economics. They knew about the whether it was a 15-year license or a 30-year license. This was all stuff that was being talked about. They pulled the plug, and they have their reason. And I'm telling you that there's something going on here. So you just need to follow the money. If you follow the money, it goes to Bally's.
And you can hear what he said there. He's blaming potentially Bally's, the proposal to build a casino in the Bronx, and he is trying to make the connection somehow to the Trump administration. We know that that used to be the golf course that the Trump organization ran, and should the Bally's casino proposal actually get one of these lucrative gaming licenses, the Trump organization is slated as part of the contract to get $115 million. That is the connection that Spano is trying to make. Now, Governor Kathy Hochul was on Long Island today at an unrelated press conference and was asked whether she was going to investigate.
I would also say I share the mayor's disappointment that this did not continue, but I, at this time, am not aware of any reason to launch an investigation. I have no evidence to suspect that there's any wrongdoing in this decision-making. I think MGM knows, you know, they made their own probably financial decision based on what their needs are.
And that is exactly what MGM Empire City did say in the letter to the Gaming Commission yesterday, saying they were bowing out of the race, that it was for economic reasons. Now, this decision is up to the Gaming Facility Location Board, a 5-member state board that is going to make the final recommendations on who should get this casino license. That board was meeting this evening to go over the remaining applications, and the chair addressed the MGM controversy.
We will certainly be trying to understand why MGM pulled out, what that means for our analysis of the financial implications of having casinos close to one another in the same geographic area.
And Errol, I should note that some of my sources close to MGM are saying there's nothing suspicious here, there's nothing suspect here. They basically did the numbers, they put in their application. It was a much smaller bid compared to all the other casino applications that were put in, and they made a financial decision.
So were there even indirect signals emanating from the board that's going to make the final decision? Did they have some reason to maybe be discouraged before the final decision came down?
The MGM board, you mean? We have not heard internally from MGM necessarily. They are a publicly traded company, so perhaps that could be something we could hear about in a potential upcoming earnings call or something to that extent. In my conversations with sources close to the application leading up to these, you know, this deadline where they had to submit supplemental information, which is when they made that decision on that deadline day, there was no indication that they were going to be bowing out of the race. But I can tell you from the observers, the stakeholders in this highly competitive, lucrative contest, when you're comparing all of the applications, that being Metropolitan Park, you know, by Steve Cohen and Hard Rock in Queens, and Resorts World in Queens, and obviously Bally's in the Bronx, they are much bigger applications. You're talking about billions of dollars in investment versus what MGM had proposed.
Okay, thanks very much, Courtney. Advocates of the Fair Fares Reduced Fare program for low-income New Yorkers say that the program is underutilized. They also say it excludes some New Yorkers because of strict income requirements. Now, with the cost of a bus and subway ride set to increase, advocates believe that a new mayor has a chance to improve the program. New York One Transit reporter Samantha Liebman takes a closer look.
The $2.90 you pay for subway and bus fare will go up to $3 next year, but it's half price for thousands of New Yorkers like Jeremiah Gonzalez.
I can go for more rides than if I pay full fare. So if I'm going for a job interview, if I'm going to somewhere that I need to be.
The half-price fares program run by the city is open to New Yorkers 18 to 64 who make 145% of the federal poverty level, or FPL. It's about to go up to 150. At the current level, an individual must make just under $23,000, a family of four just over $46,000. Debbie Priya Chattery, a senior economist at the Community Service Society, or CSS, says it excludes those working 40 hours at minimum wage.
They are still struggling with transit affordability, but are still making a little bit too much to qualify for the program.
The 5% expansion in the city's latest budget is a far cry from what advocates wanted, 200%. Council Speaker Adrienne Adams says she's baffled by Mayor Adams's reluctance.
It should have been an easy thing, considering we're all talking about affordability for New Yorkers.
While the mayor did raise it 3 times, increasing the income limit to 200% of the FPL would make over 400,000 additional New Yorkers eligible. And Brian Fritsch with the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, or PCAC, says the money is there.
They've been allocating about $1 million annually per percent that they've increased the eligibility level. So, and never have they spent all of the money.
That's because of the approximately 1.4 million eligible New Yorkers. About 37% are enrolled, according to CSS. And Speaker Adams says the city has not promoted the program enough.
I'm talking about promotion through the DOE, promotion through CUNY, promotion through our hospital system.
The city notifies people on public assistance that they're eligible, but according to a recent survey, fewer than half of respondents did not apply or know how to. The MTA says it has increased outreach between ads and weekly sign-up events.
Recently, we've added fare kiosks at our customer service centers where our customers can now self-serve and sign up 24 hours a day.
Advocates would like to see automatic enrollment for those who qualify.
There's going to be a huge opportunity for whoever's the next mayor to really look at this program, think holistically about how people are getting around the city, and look at expansion options.
So others like Jeremiah Gonzalez don't have to make difficult decisions.
Otherwise, unfortunately, I'll be forced in a position where I have to skip a fare.
Samantha Liebman, New York 1.
It is time for a break. Coming up, I'll speak with Shirley Aldebal, who is running for the city council seat in the Bronx against Republican Christy Marmorato. She'll join me in studio in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
My time at New York 1 has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Burke.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on the Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month, as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Election Day is only 20 days away. Early voting is set to kick off on October 25th. That's in 10 days from now. All eyes remain on the race for mayor, but there are a handful of competitive city council races around the city as well. That includes City Council District 13 up in the Bronx. That includes all or part of Pelham Bay, Morris Park, Throgs Neck, and City Island. The seat is currently held by Republican council member Christy Marmorato. She's one of just 6 Republicans currently in the 51-member city council, and the first Republican elected to her district in 20 years. New York One attempted to host a debate for this contest, but the Marmorato campaign was unable to accommodate multiple dates that we offered. And so joining me now is Marmorato's opponent. Shirley Aldebald is a former labor union executive who won the Democratic nomination back in June. She joins us now to talk about her campaign. Welcome to the program. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you, Errol.
What's this race about, and why do you want to do this? You've had a distinguished career in labor. This is your first time running for office.
Yes, this is my first time, running for office. I'm a lifelong Bronxite, very proud of my Bronx roots. Parents migrated here from Puerto Rico, had a bodega in the Bronx. I grew up behind the counter of that bodega. My parents worked really, really hard, but were able to raise 4 children, buy a home in Throgs Neck. I was able to buy a home in Throgs Neck and raise my son there as a single mom. But I've seen how, it's become more and more unaffordable for, everyday working families to live in our district, to afford rent, to afford home ownership. Our health care is at risk. SNAP benefits are at risk. We have food insecurity in our district. There are a lot of issues that are unresolved in our district, and I felt that I could do more stepping into this race. I have the experience, the know-how, the grit, and the fight to do what's right for our district.
Let me explain to my viewers some of who this lady is. There were 5,000 cleaners and handy persons working in the city public schools. They became members of your union where you worked, 32BJ SEIU. You led the campaign to ensure that they would be covered by the prevailing wage rate. The one that I think most people watching would know is that in 2016, you negotiated the first collective bargaining agreement for the airport workers. So that's the baggage handlers, cabin and terminal cleaners, the people who push the wheelchairs and so forth. It's an extraordinary career of bringing working people into collective bargaining, helping them to get the benefits and the pay that they deserve. What do you take from that? What would you be bringing into the city council from that experience?
I've been an organizer and worked to, build power among working people, not just in their workplaces, but in their communities, and work with them to engage in their communities, to advocate for themselves, not only as workers, but members of a community. Fought to raise wages, right? And it's not just about fighting, it's really about sitting across the table, with employers, with landlords, with developers to make sure that good jobs come from development, but also that the community benefits from those developments. Because these are communities that our workers, that our union members and that workers live in.
4 years ago, this district, I don't understand this district. You got to explain this community to me. I passed through there a lot. I grew up in New Rochelle. I got a lot of family up there, so we would drive right through there all the time. But this is an area that actually is 60% Democratic as far as registration, but supported Curtis Sliwa 4 years ago. He narrowly won the district, 48%. Adams got 46%. This is a district that also voted out a Latina Democratic incumbent to put in Christy Marmorato, and that was, I believe, over the Bruckner upzoning question. What's the mood in the district? Where do you fit into it? What kind of leadership would you bring to this district?
I've been talking to voters, for the last 8-9 months, knocking on hundreds of doors, and people, one, the constituents of the district want to be heard. They want someone who's going to have common sense and solve their problems. they want someone who has, will bring solutions and be able to, get things done in the district.
Are they not getting that now?
They feel that they're not. I mean, they feel for a long time that they haven't been getting that, and they feel that, they've been left behind. People assume that because there are homeowners in the district that, there isn't poverty in the district. People assume that because there are a lot of homeowners in the district, I'm a homeowner in the district, that people don't have insecurities about staying in your home. We have seniors who, struggle, with paying bills and maintaining their homes. We have people who can't afford to buy food. We have children who go to school and they're hungry. And so all of these issues are being overlooked. Rent is high. And people, I talked to a woman the other day who wants to retire in a couple of years, but is afraid that if she retires, she won't be able to stay in the district, district that she's been in for like 15, 20 years.
So if elected, what committees would you want to serve on and why?
Well, my expertise is in labor, so I certainly would be very comfortable, leading, Labor and Civil Service Committee. But I also, would love to serve on, committee, on health care, mental health. We're facing a mental health crisis, in the city and in our district, and trying to figure out how we could provide those services to the constituents of District 13 in a way that's accessible and affordable.
Do you support the proposed Bally's Casino? I know that's in the district, right?
So here's my take on the Bally's Casino. Christy Marmorato essentially removed herself from real negotiations with Bally's and other stakeholders because she simply was a no from the very beginning. And I believe that the job of a city council member or any elected official is to listen to the concerns of your constituents about any project and to bring those to the table and try to resolve them. We're here to resolve problems. We're here to do the best that we can do, negotiate the best for our community, and she has failed to do that. So if you were to ask me today, did we get the best deal out of Bally's? I can't say that we did, because she has not taken advantage of having a seat at the table.
So in a case like that, you would say, put me in the room and I'll treat them like we did all those employers that I negotiated against. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, we don't get everything that we want in negotiations, as you know. But, we have some priorities. If crime is a concern, people are concerned about crime, well, how can we have Bally's, resolve that issue? If infrastructure is a concern, we should be dealing with how much money can we get for infrastructure improvements. The environment is a concern. How much money can we get to make sure that our coastline is resilient against climate change and City Island and Throgs Neck? And, I live in Throgs Neck. I had 2.5 feet of water in my house the last hurricane.
Sure.
So, I mean, look, these are things that people care about.
Okay. Well, we will wish you the best of luck in this remaining 20 days on the campaign trail. And we'll check in later and see how it all turned out. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
All right, let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll turn back to the race for mayor when I'm joined by my politics panel. Stay with us.
The next downtown Local 6 train to Brooklyn Bridge City Hall will arrive in 2 minutes.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer.
I'm so honored to be a meteorologist here at New York One, because as a Brooklyn kid, this is the station that I grew up watching. Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our weather on the ones. Watch the New York One weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything. Movies, series, sports, reality, news.
Here's a look at today's top stories.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
And even more of your favorites with live TV. Stream across your devices and enjoy anywhere.
See you later.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
My father was a New York City firefighter. My mission, like his, is to serve New Yorkers in a city that doesn't stop when the sun goes down. Being with New York One since the beginning, I'm now honored to join you even earlier each weeknight. Starting at 8 with New York Tonight, we'll explore the latest news developments, followed by New York One at 10 to wrap up your day. So join me each weeknight starting at 8 right here on New York One.
Justice. I will keep fighting for New Yorkers. I will keep fighting the aggressive policies of Washington, D.C., and I will not stop.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. That was State Attorney General Letitia James, who was indicted last week on charges of mortgage fraud. She joined the Democratic nominee for mayor, Zohran Mamdani, at a rally in Washington Heights earlier this week. That's the footage you just saw. Joining me now to talk about that and much more is my politics panel. Ben Max is executive editor at New York Law School's Center for New York City Law and the host of the Max Politics podcast. And joining us, as he does every week, is New York One political commentator Gerson Barrero. Thank you both for being here. Let's start by breaking down these charges against Tish James. Are these legitimate, or is this simply, as she says, the revenge tour of the President of the United States?
I mean, you obviously have a lot of reason to believe that these are charges that were in pursuit of the target and not the pursuit of justice. However, you know, there is a process that's going to play out, and we have to see. There's a lot that they'll have to prove in terms of her intent in filling out these forms and whether she really meant to mislead. And this is about whether it was going to be a second home for her or a rental property. One of the things this is exposing, besides the idea of using the Justice Department for political payback, which clearly is happening in some way, is the question around how much of this sort of like white collar crime fraud just goes totally unpaid attention to, just writ large, right, is one of the questions that always comes up in so many of these cases. So the process will play out, but it certainly looks like a pretty weak case, but, you know, we'll see.
I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on New York either and on this show, but I've talked to 2 different criminal lawyers, and one of them has involvement politics, and he says phony, sham, it's all made up, it's Trump on his revenge tour. She'll walk out of it well, because I didn't know this, even though I own a home. I only own one home and sign checks for that, but you know the process, and you can make a mistake on any of these things. And there are people who actually have violated laws without knowing, and they've wound up, including people who were elected officials. I won't name some
Izzy Ruiz.
Oh, you remember.
Yeah,
people, I know people out there, young folks, Israel Ruiz, he did that. And it was lying on an application. I don't believe that he did it intentionally, so you can actually wind up. But there are many people who do that. I think it's phony. And when people say that she did the whole thing about running, well, that's what she needed to do at that point. The Democrats, I always found, I didn't understand why she wouldn't play a bigger role on national politics or even help Kamala Harris in her campaign, because she was out there and she wasn't afraid. She's never been afraid of Donald Trump. She took him on, and she did it the right way.
Well, if she wasn't a national figure before, she certainly is now. I think there's like 21 attorneys general from around the country who are all supporting her at this point.
Yeah.
President Trump weighed in on the race for mayor again yesterday. He renewed his threats to deploy federal troops and withhold federal funds if Mamdani should win the race for mayor. Here's part of what the president said.
The funding for New York and for every place comes through the White House. And I'm very generous, and I was always very generous with New York, even when you had opposition there, but I was always very generous. But I wouldn't be generous to a communist, a guy that's going to take the money and throw it out the window, because you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, first of all, it's not his money. It's New Yorkers' money. It's our taxpayer money. You've never been generous with anyone. You've been a thief. You're a convicted felon. You've been a criminal. You have stolen in real estate. You've put people out of business. What the hell is he talking about? This guy has no morale. I think it's sickening. And even if he was an avowed communist, that, you know, if the people wind up on November 4th electing him, he's our communist. So leave that alone. You might as well skate away from it. And people will come out to the streets to defend Mamdani or Mayor Mamdani if he winds up being, you know, the mayor. Because he's ours, and we'll take 4 years or whatever comes by, but he's not going to come and bully him, and I don't think that he can bully anyone.
You know, what I can't figure out is, does the president think somebody's going to change their vote and say, well, I would have voted for Mamdani, but hey, Trump's going to, you know, punish the city, so I guess I'll vote for somebody else?
I don't think he's thinking it through that much. I think for Trump, like so many other things, there's a leverage play at hand here, right? He's starting to already try to see what kind of leverage he can hold over a potential Mayor Mamdani. I think there's a lot of people in Trump's ear who don't want Mamdani to win, so maybe that's part of the reason he's throwing some of these threats out there. But I also think he's thinking ahead about the kind of leverage that he can hold over him if he's mayor, and then make him sort of come and kiss the ring. And we actually saw earlier today a little bit of Zohran Mamdani going on Fox News and addressing Trump directly. I'm not going to beg for your help, but I am going to work with you if you want to work with me on making the city more affordable. So there's a lot of dance that these two are going to do if Mamdani does win.
I don't know. Zohran doesn't, you know, he's not a street fighter. I don't think he's ever had a street fight. This is where I differ with people. He's still young. He's had a privileged life. Not that it's wrong, but he ain't never had a street fight. And I think that this is the difference between him and a Curtis Sliwa and an Andrew Cuomo. And I think they've gone at it. On this same set, New York won. Curtis Sliwa had problems with Trump as a business guy, and several times there were letters sent to, you know, desist and resist in terms of something like that. So I'm not sure Mamdani's got the street fighting him to face a bully like that. And this guy is a narcissist bully.
Well, there's very limited options for a mayor to fight back, as we're starting to see, right? So Mamdani's answers, when you and others ask him, are limited. Like,
yes,
we'll sue and then we'll fight.
Your complaint,
he can take people to the streets.
Your complaint has to be mostly symbolic. We're discovering that from some of these other cities.
Well, that's true.
Let's take a short break now. We've got more to talk about with this politics panel. We'll do that in 2 minutes. Stay with us. Here's the deal. People need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 on Spectrum News New York 1. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Flores Fire Design House. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. Spectrum helps me stay online. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. Without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
Get up to 4 months free when you bundle award-winning internet. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day with in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. I'm once again joined by my politics panel, Ben Max of New York Law School and New York One political commentator Herson Barrero. Mayor Adams threw a public temper tantrum last week, lashing out at the press and Chris Sommerfeld of the New York Daily News in particular. Here's a little bit of what it sounded like.
Some of you have been covering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark writers that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book. But that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind.
So now, look, we all went back and we read the passage in question from the tell-all book by Jasmine Ray. I paid my $7.99 for the book. I went back and looked at it again. Is there any reasonable interpretation of the passage in question other than that they had sex inside Borough Hall? I didn't even think that was a question.
I mean, you could say it was slightly left up to the imagination and it happened there or somewhere else, but the language is pretty explicit that something physical was happening soon or there at Borough Hall. But this is, I mean, the mayor is in a very stressful position with a former lover's tell-all book coming out, the end of his term, dropping his reelection bid, the list goes on. So he's melting down publicly a bit for a variety of reasons.
Because they had to blame somebody.
This is the last thing that I expected him to complain about, because it's clear that whatever happened or didn't happen, it started in Borough Hall. I mean, we're not stupid. We've all been in some way know things and maybe he's concerned about some other people that he's had relationships within the administration, outside the administration. Maybe he's concerned about that. Maybe his, the other people that are more close to him in relationships. I don't know. This was just weird. It's like another Trumpian thing of attacking the press for things that you did. Nobody did this, you did, and you were like embracing the book at the beginning, and all of a sudden, he's like, oh, you can't go there? Well, we know, we're adults here. I'm glad own up to what you did or happened.
I'm glad you bring up the attacking the press, because this will be, yet again, one of the sort of legacies of this mayor is all of this whining and blaming the press for bad coverage, and you don't cover the good stuff, and all of these things he's been saying now for most of these nearly 4 years. And again, just not learning the lessons of his predecessors, which he claimed he had been studying very closely, and just not doing things differently. We saw this from Bill de Blasio. We saw it to a degree from Michael Bloomberg, but really de Blasio fall on himself doing too much of this. And then Eric Adams just, taking it to another degree, which is just not helpful.
Yeah, him and the comm shop, I've just never understood that. If you call any reporter, no matter how hostile you think they are, and you call them and say, I think you got this wrong. You don't have to have a tantrum in front of everybody. No. You call, I think you got this wrong. Let's sit down and let's talk about it. Word for word, I think you got this wrong. I mean, you can have those kind of conversations and professionals will, in fact, respond. Anyway, look, let's move on. The last topic here. Mayor Adams appears to have changed his mind about Andrew Cuomo. We got a split screen about how he characterized Cuomo back in September and what he said just yesterday.
Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar. Andrew has had a career of pushing black candidates out of races.
As Zohran said, he's fully embraced. It's problematic for working class people in this city. And so I can't see myself endorsing him. And so that leaves Curtis and Andrew. We are in conversations. I'm in conversation with Andrew. I think it's important that we can't succumb to the far left agenda in this city.
So we could succumb to his kind of corruption and his kind of nonsense and indecency and maligning the office of mayor of New York. That we can do. That's what we voted for. So you're out. I cannot believe that Andrew Cuomo would even consider accepting his... Andrew, I will be shocked, disappointed, and I think most New Yorkers will be disgusted at the fact that this guy who called you a liar and a snake, just because you think it's going to add to you. I think that all the people that were going to vote for him already got, including the money. So I think that on this one, I'll put it on Andrew Cuomo if he accepts. I would be highly disappointed, Andrew. I think it would say more about you than of
well, you
Mayor
can probably react right
Adams.
now because he's going to take it if it's there.
Oh,
right?
my God, that
He's
would be
not gonna
disgusting,
reject,
Andrew. Big mistake.
It seems like the writing's on the wall here that this is going to happen unless Eric Adams just can't sort of swallow it. But it seems like he's coming to terms with it. You know, this is the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation.
Do you think it'll make a difference?
No, no. Eric Adams dropped out of the race because he had so little support that he saw the writing on the wall. So he doesn't have a lot of help to offer. Does it give Andrew Cuomo the slightest bit of a bump in, you know, maybe among some voters that still have a high opinion of Eric Adams? A few, but it's going to have minimal impact.
Look, there's only 20 days left, right? So, you know, you can't really get very picky at this point. If you find, you know, two people with a pulse on a park bench, you ask.
So you
them
would
to vote
accept
for
it?
you.
You would accept it?
No, I don't know. I mean, it's a very interesting point. I don't know what it would mean. You know, I mean, you have to structure it because it's like, do you do it together? Do you do a video? Do you explain why? Or do you just quietly say, anybody who likes me, please vote for this guy?
If you're Andrew Cuomo down roughly 15 points in the polls and, you know, scrounging for every last vote, yeah, you take it, absolutely. It's not going to hurt his standing with voters, I don't think. Is it going to help? Maybe a tiny bit, but the question is, then, do you stand for the record of Eric Adams, and what do you agree with, what do you disagree with? You start to get peppered with all those questions.
It opens you to at least one, some comeback from Sliwa and from Mamdani saying, like, why are you with that guy?
Sign me up for the ones that find it disgusting if you do accept it, Andrew.
Okay. Thank you, Herson Barrero. Thank you, Ben Max. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Be sure to join us tomorrow when my guests will include City Council member Natasha Williams. Until then, thanks for watching and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. We've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Flores Fire Design House. We are a full production wedding and event company that focuses on florals. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They were here the same day, had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. And if I'm contacting a merchant via email or placing an order online, without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
One more row.
Spectrum is reliable, they're committed, they're fast, and they really take care of me as a business owner. Last year, when the really bad hurricane came through, our internet stayed the entire time. One of the businesses down the street, she was like, wait a minute, how are you still online? And I was like, Spectrum, baby. You gotta get Spectrum.
Get award-winning internet for your business. Up to 4 months free when bundled. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more.
This election year is all about New York City. There are 51 council seats up for grabs, races for our next city comptroller and the next public advocate.
Plus, an unprecedented race for mayor. That puts the power in your hands to decide who will run our city.
Our team of political experts will be covering every angle of this election to keep you informed on how it could affect you, so you can feel confident with your decision at the polls.
Stay with Spectrum News New York 1 for Decision 2024.